In the moonlight, listen to the Lord and Lady call their children. In the moonlight, listen to the Lord and Lady call their children. In the moonlight, listen to the Lord and Lady call their children.
Happy Monday, witches. This is Natalie, and I will be your sub-host this Monday for Witches of the Moon. Erin has run into some difficulties and is unable to produce this video, so I have stepped up to fill in. This week, our topic is setting up a sacred space. And you'll have to forgive the quality of this video. I realize the lighting in here is really poor, and I am shooting this with my iPad because my new computer just came in today, and I haven't had a chance to set up yet. So please forgive me, but what I wanted to do, Trina and I were originally going to do a two-parter on her having a permanent space and me having just a temporary space in which I could work. And I know I've touched about this in some of the other videos that I've covered on both my personal channel, and I believe I've mentioned it a few times on Witches of the Moon. But essentially, if I'm in a pinch, this can be my altar, and I want to kind of lift this up just a little bit where you guys can see where I would have my elemental candles. Now, I am not Wiccan, so I don't have the actual Wiccan colors in my circle, but if I was trying to establish a sacred space, the first thing that I would do is I would begin by clearing a space, and then I would meditate, and then I would set out my space as I need it for whatever working that I'm doing. Now, in this case, this is just a simple little altar. I have my Book of Shadows there. I have my God and Goddess image. I have my cauldron for any spell work that I'll be doing, a God and Goddess candle, and then my elemental candles, my Athame. That is my little incense burner that my husband got me recently, and I love it. This is just a quick temporary altar in case I needed to do some sort of spell work very quickly. When I am doing ritual, I have a table that my husband got for me that is completely made of wood. It's slotted so the pieces slide together, but I can take it apart and put it back in the box, and it folds flat against the wall. So that's very nice. But in a pinch, this little mini table here. I also have a table over here. You'll have to pardon my study, but that big table, I have also used that if I need to be standing. So this, for me, could be a sacred space. A sacred space would be any area that you cleanse and clear and use for magical working, meditation, etc. Even something just honoring the God and Goddess. So this also is part of my sacred space. This is my witchy cabinet, and as you can see, it's expanding. I've had to move some things around, but this box my husband got me for Yule this year, and I absolutely love it. I use it to hold a lot of my ritual items, my extra candles, some of my herbs, my sage, my lighters, my pentacles, candles, everything goes in here. So that, to me, is also a sacred space. When you are establishing a sacred space, the important thing is that it should be something that is meaningful to you. How you set up your altar may vary a lot. Some people like to go by the standard format, having one side for the god, one side for the goddess, and I do tend to do that just because I like to give them equal honor on my altar. But if I'm setting up an altar for a specific purpose, like if I want to do specific work with the goddess Caradwyn, I would set up a Caradwyn altar, and so she would be the only deity represented on that altar. Likewise, if I'm establishing an altar for my spirit animal, I want to do some work with my spirit animal or contact my spirit animal, then I would establish an altar for that. And I can kind of show you some of the things that I have for that. Over here, as you can see, I have my, the lighting is going icky, sorry about that, let me get out of the light here. Well, you're not going to be able to see that because this is in the way. But here I have a candle with my totem animal on it. And I have this lovely totem animal set that Joe Morris made for me that I purchased from her shop. And so I would set those things out on my altar. A couple of things that I try to always have in my sacred space is some sort of representation of the elements and representation of the god and goddess. So going back to my little temporary altar here, I think I knocked over one of my candles. As you can see, I have my image of the god on the right, on the left, goddess on the right, and I have a candle representing each. When you're setting up a sacred space, the important thing is that it should be meaningful to you. It should be a space that you feel safe and comfortable in, and that you feel free from mental, physical, and emotional clutter. That's why I like to meditate before I establish my space. I do recommend that when you're setting up a sacred space that you cleanse the area, whether you sweep it out or you do some sort of using incense to cleanse the area, sage perhaps, just something that clears away anything that might be hanging around, especially if your space is temporary like mine. Where, I have to set it up, then break it down, set it up and break it down. A lot of things happen during the day, during the week, during your life that may form some sort of negativity there. But it is very easy to establish a sacred space. You can do it with or without casting. When I'm doing spell work or ritual work, I do like to cast my circle. But sometimes if I'm doing just simple magical working, like I'm making a healing soap for somebody, I may not necessarily cast a full circle. I will always ask the elements to bless the area and my working, and I will always invite the god and goddess to be a part of that. But that's my personal preference. I just feel that helps to make the space more sacred for me and gets me in the right frame of mind. Anyhow, there is, you could have a permanent space if you do. That's wonderful. You could have more than one sacred space within your home. For me, my entire home tends to be a sacred space. I like to do workings all over my home, and it's where I feel safe and comfortable. So remember that a sacred space does not necessarily have to be limited to just your altar. It can be any area around you that you feel is special to you, where you feel the presence of the god and goddess and you feel that connection. So your entire home could be a sacred space. Any place that you cleanse and use for ritual will be a sacred space, and any area where you feel that connection to deity will constitute a sacred space. I realize that this video has been kind of short and late in coming, but I hope that this has been helpful to you and that you've enjoyed it, and I wish you many bright blessings.